All right, what is up, everybody? Dear Mr. Fantasy, week 3. You'll notice it's just me. There's no overlay. Waiting on Mintzy. He is filming something for Rediscovering America right now in New Orleans. Had a shoot till about 11:20. Said he was going to be on. He's a little bit late, obviously. But I want to get into your questions. I will address the elephant in the room. I did very come close. Actually, almost shit my pants like about 30 minutes ago. If there is security footage, we'll try and pull that. It was tough for your boy. A lot of stuff going on this week. It looks like Josh Jacobs is playing. Very weird. He took a separate flight from his team due to his illness. I would be very skeptical on him today. If you're sick and you're going to play, all right. But if you're sick enough where you have to take a separate flight, that seems very weird to me. Shout out Jeff Bodner. Reminder to like the stream. Gonna get to your questions. This stream is brought to you by Body Armor. Football season is back, and we are staying hydrated and energized with Body Armor Edge Watermelon Wave. This is one of the new flavors. This is awesome. Really, really good stuff. I'm gonna be drinking this a lot today. From the makers of our favorite sports drink, Body Armor Edge is hydration with a boost of caffeine with potassium-packed electrolytes plus a punch of caffeine. Body Armor Edge is the choice to keep you going when you're cheering on your team or playing with your home team. My favorite flavor, again, Watermelon Wave. Push through the highs and lows of football season with our favorite sports drink plus caffeine, Body Armor Edge. You can find Edge at 7-Eleven or order on Amazon for your next Saturday with the boys or just Sunday watching the games. Body Armor Edge. As a guy who is not a coffee drinker, Body Armor Edge, great way to get caffeine if you're feeling a little like you're lagging. Shout out Jeff Bodner. Let's go. Sponsors. All right, let's get to some of your questions. I'm sure you guys got a lot of these. All right. Great question to start. HP Tubes. Boys, tell me why Cole Beasley has to be in my DFS lineup. This is a big wild card because the Bucs receiver situation, especially today, is very bad. Mike Evans obviously suspended. Julio Jones is going to be a true game time decision from what I'm hearing. Same as last week. So he was a true game time decision and then sat out a game. He did not practice all week. He had a limited practice, I believe it was on Friday, just to remain questionable. But he is going to try and play today. But the game is 4:25. So the odds are you're going to have your alternative option is going to be going before that. So if you have Julio, he would be a bench for me just due to that. But Cole Beasley signed this past week. Surprising. I would have thought they would have went with a guy Tom Brady's a little bit more familiar with, like a Julian Edelman, similar profile type guy. But Cole Beasley, productive receiver, doesn't know the playbook. He just came in, but he's been elevated. And they asked Todd Bowles in press conferences this week if he is going to get reps and stuff like that. And everything they said was like, he looks good. He's in shape. I can't confirm that he fully knows the playbook, but I would be surprised if he doesn't play at all. I would think he's going to get some snaps. As far as value from a DFS perspective, I don't know if there's a whole lot. He's probably very, very cheap. I'm expecting a line something like 3 catches, 30 yards, something in that range. So take that for what it's worth. I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game today, Bucs-Packers. All right, let's go with Braden Hungringe. Full point PPR, start 1, Chase Edmonds, DJ Moore, or Curtis Samuel. Ooh, this is an interesting one. So for full point PPR, I'm going to take Chase Edmonds out. DJ Moore, I love. I really think that he's going to have an awesome year, but Curtis Samuel has been that guy so far. He's like Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson. Curtis Samuel's been the guy. He's been not healthy for about 2 full years, but he is healthy and he is going now. And he seems to be Carson Wentz's guy. There's a lot of questions around this game, and it really, Antonio Gibson, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Eagles defense, Miles Sanders. How do we think the game is going to go? Because this is, Schefter tweeted out, this is Jalen Hurts' first time in FedEx Field since the railing nearly fell on him and all those people. It's Carson Wentz's first game against the Eagles. So how do you think Carson Wentz is going to do? 27-7 last year. He's been really good. I believe he's QB5 right now in 4-point passing touchdown leagues, which is really, really good. But, they've played the Jaguars and the Lions. Obviously a big step up today. Curtis Samuel, I'm going to have inherently lower. I do think Carson Wentz could rely on him, especially short and underneath, because the Eagles have, pretty good defense. I can't sit DJ Moore. I cannot do it. So DJ Moore would be my start for out of those three in full point PPR. Another question from that game, just on that. Todd D, full point PPR, start one flex, Curtis Samuel or Antonio Gibson? Ooh, so Antonio Gibson, great receiver. I mean, he played some receiver in college. He's one of these kind of converted Memphis guys, similar like a Tony Pollard. Curtis Samuel, though, he has been getting those targets and those grabs. So for that reason, they have J.D. McKissic coming on passing downs. I would go Curtis Samuel between those two. Same guy. Sorry about that. Braden Hungridge, season-long trade, Edmonds and Samuel for Allen Robinson. I assume you mean Curtis Samuel, not Deebo Samuel, because if it's Deebo, that's crazy. I would not do this trade for Allen Robinson. Curtis Samuel, I think, is emerging as like a top 25 option. Allen Robinson right now is not there. So I would go with Curtis Samuel and Chase Edmonds. Let's go. Here we go. SS, Tannehill or Jimmy G, Parker or Mooney. So let's start with the quarterbacks. Oof. This is tough. This is super flex league, I'm sure. Ryan Tannehill's tough to start, especially after last week. Jimmy G also very tough to start. I somewhat like Tennessee in a bounce back. The Raiders are 0-2. The Titans are 0-2. I just think that the Titans are better coach. I mean, Mike Vrabel is just an elite coach. I can see Derrick Henry having a big game. Josh Jacobs is banged up. Hunter Renfrow is out. Against a Denver defense, Jimmy G. Yeah, I'm going to go with – they like to run the ball so much, and Debo's that guy, especially around – he's going to get carries and still touchdowns. So I'm going to go with Ryan Tannehill, even though I hate it. And then Parker or Mooney. So we're going to go with Darnell Mooney or Devontae Parker. I just saw that Jacoby Myers is out. So that does lean a little bit Parker, but I'm going to say Darnell Mooney. I know that Justin Fields hasn't been slinging it very much, but I think especially this past week with a lot of public criticism, and they're going against the Texans, I don't anticipate a very high-scoring game, but I think that the Texans are a lot of cover two. That's Lovie Smith's bread and butter. I think that they're going to throw it a fair amount. So Darnell Mooney, I think, is a guy that the Patriots don't throw it a ton either, and when they do, not super effectively. So I'm going to go with Darnell Mooney there. This is a tough option, though. Colton Sowers, Tua or Wentz? Also TEDx, shout out the Yak. Let's go. All right, so Tua or Wentz. So the Bills secondary is very banged up. They're starting 4 guys that have never started together. So I kind of like Tua in that. He's also hot, but again, this is the big question of the day: is how is Carson Wentz going to perform against an Eagles defense? Obviously this is a revenge game for him. He has played really well from a fantasy perspective, and that's all that matters. But it'd be hard to sit Tua after a 50-point week against the Bills secondary that is pretty leaky. I believe the over-under in that game is 53 right now. All right, let me go with Alexander Pompey. I'm starting Zeke and Josh Jacobs or Zeke and Tony Pollard. LMAO, rough look. I don't think you can start Josh Jacobs today. I opened the show with that. He took a separate flight from the team because he's sick. It looks like he is going to try and play today. I don't think he's a safe fantasy start at all. Zeke and Tony Pollard, we might go. All your running backs on the same team on Monday night. Good luck with that. James Elliott, Chase Edmonds, or Dameon Pierce? I love Dameon Pierce today. He took the lion's share of the carries. He is going to be the guy. Rex Burkhead, forget it. Rex Burkhead is 32 years old. He is not a guy who's going to be a bell cow back or a fantasy workhorse. He might have a nice game if he's the starter, if Pierce is out for whatever reason. But I think you got to go Dameon Pierce from here on out. We got Mintzy in the building. Mintzy.
We also got a special guest behind us.
Oh, what's up?
What's up?
Nick, how we doing?
Doing well, Che.
We might or might not have egg and muddy water from the Mississippi River all over us right now.
Oh no, what happened?
Just shooting a scene.
We were trying to rediscover America, and we're going to my roots to cleanse me of all the demons that I've had recently in my life. But thanks for being a good sport, Shay. I'm sorry we're a couple minutes late. It was a huge scene, and so it couldn't be helped.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I obviously didn't mean to be late. Great to be on here as always. Just really love the show, and did you are so? Just go ahead. I'm just gonna fall off your lead. Do you already give out your favorites or take questions? What's going on?
I didn't do my card yet, actually. Pull up your card for a second. Let me just hit the second ad. This show is brought to you by Chevy. It's still early in the season, and every team is still in the hunt. But one team has already run it all. It's Chevy and its star player, the Silverado. According to J.D. Power, Chevy is the most awarded brand for new vehicle quality, and Chevy trucks have won more new vehicle awards than any other brand. That's some serious hardware, but champions don't stop. They keep moving forward, and that's what Silverado is all about. Week in and week out, Silverado brings it with unstoppable grit and determination. Head over to Chevy.com to learn more about the Chevy Silverado. For J.D. Power's 2022 U.S. award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. My buddy Chris Volk has a Chevy Silverado. It is. I had no idea they're as big and as roomy as they are. He's got 3 kids, and they fit in a Silverado, which is why I had no idea, not being a pickup guy myself, minivan, but space-wise, very underrated.
Perfect for tailgates when you're out there at football season too, man. Pull up the tailgate, Chevrolet Silverado.
Shout out Adam Swart for saying I smell bad. Wrong. Showered this morning, even though I did almost poop my pants.
I promise. I'm so dirty from this muddy water, and I've got egg and beer all over. I mean, yeah, we're we're a little rough here around the edges. But hey, Barstool, we wouldn't want it any other way. I've got my card ready. Do you have yours too?
Yeah. Why don't you go first?
Okay. Few plays, props. Couple of things I really like today. All right. I think the Minnesota Vikings are in an all-time bounce-back spot for how bad they looked on Monday Night Football. They got Detroit at home. Detroit's playing shootouts so far this year. Look at both their games, 38-35, 36-27. And the over-under is 52.5. I'm going over Cousins, 281.5, over Justin Jefferson on the bounce-back. It was like 96 or 97. And I'm actually going to do a parlay plus in this game with Cousins over, Jefferson over, the over in the game, and I might add Minnesota to it. I think we're looking at like a 34-24, 34-27 Vikings win. This is a Kirk Cousins special game. When the primetime lights aren't on and it's Sunday at noon against Detroit at home, they're a lot better on their fast track. I just think after what happened Monday night, everybody saw it. This is a prime bounce back situation. So I'm on those two. And then I'm also the rat line of the day that reeks. And everybody's going to laugh at me and say, how can you like this? Dude, something's up at that KC Indy game. Everybody's crapping on Indy after them getting shut out last week. I'm banging Jonathan Taylor over 86.5 yards rushing. They're going to freaking give him the ball like 30 times today. He had 9 carries last week. They got to shorten the game. They're going to have a chance against KC and pound him. I'm on Jonathan Taylor 86.5, and I'm on the Colts plus 5.5. Just every sucker I know is on KC today. So those are my favorite. And I'm condensing it a little bit because I've gone off on tangents in my card. So that's what I got.
Love it. Okay. I have one major single prop of the day, and it actually got lowered from last night. Devin Singletary over 38.5 rushing yards. Actually got lowered to 37.5 now in the Barstool Sportsbook. He averages 71 yards per game in Miami. He's been there 3 times. Each time he's cleared this number with ease, averaging 5.6 yards a carry. He's from Deerfield, Florida, very close to there. So his family, his friends are coming out to see him. He's going to put on a show, 37.5 rushing yards. Hammer that over. My biggest play of the day. I got 2 more I want to tell you about. The go for 2 parlay. We got Joe Burrow going against the Jets, Matthew Stafford going against the Cardinals. Who was the third? Joe Burrow, Matthew Stafford, and Josh Allen going against the Dolphins. Those 3 to throw 2 touchdown passes each or more. That one's pretty nice. I think I was at like 248. And then my big brain parlay, we got Devin Singletary over 38.5 rushing yards. Dameon Pierce to score a touchdown. Texans running back going against a leaky Chicago defense that got torched by Aaron Jones last week. Dameon Pierce is the guy. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown over 6.5 catches. If he gets 8 catches today, He's going to set the record for most consecutive games with 8+ catches. And in press conferences this week, the Lions coaching staff has really talked him up and all the work he's put in. So I'm sure that they are going to try to get him that record. So those are my favorite plays today.
I may add Amon-Ra St. Brown's over in my parlay plus for that Vikings-Lions game too, because I just feel like that's a game, like a dome fast-track game that could fly off the rails high scoring. It just has that. It has that element to it.
Love it. I got a question for you from the group. McSquibbins, full point PPR. Michael Thomas or Curtis Samuel?
Samuel's getting so many touches right now. I mean, they're just finding the ball. I'm saying I can't. I mean, I'm going Michael Thomas. I just can't bench him. I think he looks really good. He's back. But I understand why this is a debate because of how much the Commanders have been getting Samuel the ball. But I'm rolling Michael Thomas. I think he's back.
Fair. All right, Sean, Mike Williams, Curtis Samuel, or Drake London PPR. What's tough about this is Justin Herbert is going to be a true game time decision, and he's not into the afternoon window. So Curtis Samuel is going to be before that. Drake London is interesting in Seattle. That is going to be a late game, I believe. So that's certainly an option. I feel like it's hard to bench Mike Williams just, coming off last week's game, a week and a half downtime. I know Drake London had a really nice game. This one is tough. PPR. Keenan Allen is going to play today. I think with that type of uncertainty, you might have to go away from Mike Williams just because you have two other really good options here. Curtis Samuel or Drake London. Again, I think the biggest wild card of the day is the Eagles-Commanders game, just because that is the fantasy domino of how is Carson Wentz going to play against his former team. I think Drake London probably offers the safest floor because is anybody going to be totally surprised if Wentz completely shits the bed? I'm also not going to be surprised if he throws 4 touchdowns and is the hero. So I'm going to go with Drake London.
The only thing I want to add, I know Herbert's a true game time decision, but when that line moved from 7.5 down to 3.5, that tells me I think he's not going to play. When Vegas moves the line 4 points, that's a big telltale sign that I don't think Vegas thinks he's playing, because you don't see a line move like that unless a quarterback's out.
Yeah. Okay, let's go. Why don't you – here we go. Pick 2, half-point PPR. You take this one. Marquise Hollywood Brown, Mike Williams, or Michael Thomas?
I'm going Marquise Brown and Michael Thomas. Same thing he just said. I don't think Herbert's going to play. I really don't. And Keenan Allen's back. And so I think that hurts Mike Williams. I mean, I'm assuming if Chase Daniel starts, obviously.
Sure. All right, let's go with here. Can you take this one actually? Yeah. Jeff Wilson or Damian Harris, flex PPR from Chris Picariello.
I think I'm going with Jeffrey Wilson. I don't think either game looks like a shootout today with Ravens, New England, or the Niners, Broncos Sunday night. But I'm going to roll with Jeffrey Wilson. I mean, neither one of these guys is too active in the passing game, but I do think Wilson's maybe more likely to catch a couple passes than Harris. I mean, it's kind of go either way. But I'm going to roll with Wilson, I believe.
Yep, I agree with that. Interesting night game with San Francisco going to Denver. Just two teams that necessarily haven't fully been clicking, and obviously the 49ers quarterback situation has a lot to do with that. So many questions about Curtis Samuel. Here's one I like. The report, Nuff said, PPR, Jerry Jeudy up your booty, Zay Jones or J.D. McKissic start one. Who do you like?
You got to go. I think you got to go Jeudy.
So he's hurt. It looks like he's going to play. He's got a ribs injury, but he is the night game. So it was reported that he is going to try and play. It did not look good when he got tackled last week. I thought it was going to be a collarbone or something, but ribs is tough, especially for a receiver. So it could be like a one shot and out. J.D. McKissic had 7 catches last week. And again, I think this is all about that domino. Like, what's going to happen with this Eagles-Commanders game? Are the Commanders going to get down big early? Because if they do, this could be close to a 10-catch game for J.D. McKissic if they're true. I mean, he had 7 catches last week in PPR. That's huge. But yeah, all things assuming neutral, I think Jerry Jeudy is the play.
The one point you're making, though, McKissic is like one of the all-time classic 0 RB guys down on your bench, because he's a dude that's going to have 4 catches, 5 catches for 40 yards, and he gets you 10 fantasy points in PPR like all the time. And also that Eagles Commanders game has a high over under. And, you and I always talk about like when in doubt, go with the games you think will be higher scoring. So that's a very interesting, like as far as floor goes, McKissic's by far the safest and Jeudy has by far the most upside. So it's kind of like which way.
Yeah, I agree. I would take a look at your matchup, and for Nick, who keeps our stats, I guess just put this under McKissic, just because that is the safest play. Full transparency, I'm starting McKissic in a half-point PPR league at a flex because
I have a question for you because I have a big debate in my $500 league, and McKissic's in it. All right, half-point PPR, Cordarrelle Patterson at Seattle, Devin Singletary at Miami, or J.D. McKissic versus the Eagles.
J.D. McKissic was probably my third in that.
Okay. You think roll with Singletary? Like you said, he's Florida Atlantic guy, hometown guy.
Yeah, I would go with Cordarrelle, honestly.
Okay, that's
he's just been so
Cordarrelle's they're giving him the ball, especially with Damian Williams out. He's getting a lot of carries. I think he's gonna, I don't know how long Cordarrelle's gonna have solid fantasy value. Like I think he might burn out in week 5 or week 6. The way
that's a good matchup too.
Yeah. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm rolling with Cordarrelle. I just wanted to ask.
All right, let's go with.
Can I ask you about the Bucs receiver situation going into today? What's going on?
Yeah, we actually have a question about that. Full point PPR, Trailon, Burks, or Russell Gage. So the update is Julio Jones is going to be a true game time decision. He's going to go out on the field pregame and test it. So we're not going to know his status till about 2:55 Eastern. So that's going to be too late for the 1 o'clock windows. Russell Gage is going to try to play. Mike Evans is suspended. So, we have at least one of the guys. Cole Beasley is playing as well. It's tough. I would not start Beasley in a season-long PPR. If DFS, we can get him for a certain value, maybe. I put his line roughly at maybe like 3 catches, 30 yards today. I don't think he's going to do a ton. He just doesn't know the playbook yet. It's impossible to. Russell Gage is a nice option just because they paid him in free agency. He had a good camp by all reports. He's somewhat underwhelmed, but it's just been such a crowded room. Now with, Mike Evans obviously being out, Julio potentially being out, I think Gage is a decent start today, especially in full point PPR. I could see him getting 6-7 catches. Trailon Burks, that's your guy. I would probably lean Burks just because he's not nicked and not severity of the injury we're not totally sure on. With Gage, if he's going to be able to play with it, he is going to play, but how limited he is certainly we'll take into account. But
one thing I want to say on Burks is graded out as the top rookie receiver PFF the first couple of weeks. I know he's dealing with a bad quarterback situation with how Tannehill's look, but he looks very good. It's as far as like how he looks like a pro receiver.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Taysom Hill also out. I think you just mentioned this.
Man, I got to be honest. I'm really worried about the Saints game. It smells ratty. That fourth quarter went obviously, Cheah, we saw it on the stream last week. Everything that could go wrong went wrong in that fourth quarter, and that was a big, big game against the Bucs. I'm worried about a little carryover on the road against a desperate Carolina that's 0-2, and they hate the Saints too. It's a rivalry thing. I don't know. Look, hopefully I'm wrong, but Saints by 2.5. I don't like it. It smells really bad.
Yep. Let's see.
I like that. Dan, can I just? Okay, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Nick Solis, I'll let you take this one. Garrett Wilson, huge game last week. Drake London, also another big game from a rookie receiver. Or Keenan Allen, full point PPR. Keenan Allen is playing, but obviously we don't know about the quarterback.
God, this quarterback thing. It's just how do you bench Keenan Allen in full point PPR because he gets so many catches. But if Daniel, his chemistry with Herbert's such a big part of it, though.
Yeah.
I still don't see how you can bench Keenan Allen at full point PPR, though. I just like it. If it was half point PPR, maybe, but he's like kind of a catch magnet, and his floor is really high.
Yeah. I might surprise some people here. Danny Garcia, Tom Brady, or Tua? I think you got to go Tua. I think Brady is going to be fine. His receivers are obviously very banged up, which we just talked about. No Chris Godwin, no Mike Evans. The next 3 guys are all questionable. Gage is going to play, Perryman's going to play, and then Julio's a true game time decision. Cole Beasley's elevated. That should tell you a lot about what he's working with. I don't think you can bench Tua off a 50-point game going against a depleted Buffalo Bills secondary. I think if you're looking like season long, rest of the year, Tom Brady doesn't matter the scoring system. Today, based on matchups, personnel, injuries, I think you go Tua.
Yeah, the over-under in Green Bay, Tampa down to 41. Tampa's played low-scoring games first 2 weeks, and the over-under is 53 in Buffalo, Miami. I mean, that game could get wild, so that's another thing.
I think we're going to see a big-time punt game from Bucks Packers. I think it's going to be a field position game. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like 17-13 or 17-10 or something like that.
I agree with that.
Let's see.
I got one this rambling man, start Carr or wait on Herbert, I think is an interesting one.
Sorry, who's it?
Rambling man, he said start Carr or wait on Herbert. I just think that's an interesting situation with Herbert. I would go ahead and start Carr. Like I said, I reiterate this. When Vegas moves the damn line 4 points, they don't think Herbert's playing. That's all I'm going to say. Maybe he tries to go, but if they thought he was going, there's no way in hell that line moves like that. That to me is just and Vegas knows everything.
Yep. From Shane Wilson, pick 2. You take this one: Zeke, Jeff Wilson, or Dameon Pierce.
And Zeke's Monday night against the Giants.
Yep. Jeff Wilson Sunday night in Denver. Dameon Pierce in Chicago.
I know we both don't like Zeke much this year, but on Monday night, I think he might I could see him showing up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go. I'm going to go Zeke. I know you love Pierce, but I'm going to go Zeke and Wilson. I just think that Texans-Bears game is going to be really low scoring.
Okay. Let me just hit our last ad. Roman swipes are convenient, over-the-counter wipes that are clinically proven to help you last longer in bed. They're uniquely formulated to reduce overstimulation without eliminating sensation altogether. In 2019 study, they were proven to increase time to orgasm by more than 4x. Just remove the disposable wipe from its discreet pocket-sized pack, wipe on the most sensitive parts of that wiener, and allow it to dry for about 5 minutes. They're safe, effective, and no prescription is needed. All swipes orders include a free 2-day shipping and arrived in unmarked packaging. Try it today for as little as $2.75 per swipe. Try swipes with a special offer just for our listeners. Get 20% off your first order at GetRoman.com/FFF today. That's GetRoman.com/FFF for 20% off. I know we're talking about lasting a long time. We got about 5 minutes before we have to close the stream out and upload everything for the blog. But sorry, hit me with what you want.
Okay, well, 2 things. Roman swipes helping your fantasy dreams come true. There you go. And we got a question for Nick from TD McIntruff. He says, Mintzy, tell Nick I got a fantasy question. Is fantasy better than sci-fi?
No. Yes, because of Lord of the Rings. But Dune, the emergence of Dune being popular is making it neck and neck.
Interesting. I was never a sci-fi guy myself. I did like
I never was into
Star Wars or anything.
I never was into it either, man. It's bad. It's crazy.
Starship Troopers?
Definitely not.
What?
I like this question. Tyler Tollefson. Tyler Higbee or George Kittle, half-point PPR. I think he asked earlier in the chat, I know I hate 2 tight ends. You can't. Kittle, you drafted him where you drafted him, which is probably, top 6 rounds. I don't think you can bench him. Higbee does have a nice matchup, but Tyler Higbee, we're looking at, 30 to 65 yards, maybe a touchdown. Those are fine numbers, but Kittle's your guy. I feel like if you have Kittle, you should only have 1 tight end. You should only have 1 tight end regardless, but especially if you have a guy like Kittle.
I just want to add on to that. Garoppolo being in there is great for Kittle. It's way better than Trey Lance.
If you guys don't mind, I need a streaming tight end question because I lost Schultz.
Okay.
Yes, same. So what's your question?
So right now I have Conklin, but I like Evan Ingram there as well. Those are the only 2 real available players.
I would go Ingram.
I'd go Ingram too.
He had a lot of targets last week. I feel like he had 9 targets.
Conklin has 16 targets this year, which is nuts.
Yeah.
Conklin actually playing his old team today, playing the Bengals. That's a thing, Jay. He was a Bengal. He had a pretty good year in Cincy last year.
No, you're thinking about CJ Azuma. Azuma was signed as well.
I'm thinking about the Vikings. I'm sorry. Conklin's Minnesota. I'm sorry.
Yep.
You see how I got that confused, though.
Mintzy was just underwater for a long time.
I was just underwater and got an egg bag. I'm sorry if I'm not at 100% here. Things have gotten really, really out of control in South Louisiana the last
Take this one, Mintzy. Two running back. J.K. Dobbins making a season debut today against the Pats. J.K. Dobbins or Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who has been better than we've expected this year.
I'm going with Edwards-Helaire. The over-under's higher on Chiefs-Colts and Ravens-Pats. Ravens-Pats feels like a kind of grindy game. Edwards-Helaire's doing a little better than I thought. You know, he's looked better this year so far. Casey's scoring a lot of points. The thing with Dobbins, he just doesn't – they don't use him in the passing game ever. And so I don't know if this is PPR or not, but like in half-point or full-point PPR, his value drops for sure because he never catches passes. So I would like to – I'm going wait and see approach on Dobbins. He's coming off a big injury. They've sat him out. And I'd go with Edwards-Helaire, who's already looked pretty good. And, you know, if Dobbins looks good, then maybe I'm looking to put him in the lineup after.
All right, let's go with Michael Kent, CeeDee Lamb, Darrell Henderson, or Michael Carter. Pick one, standard scoring. So no PPR, not even half. Who do you like in this one, Mintzy?
This Rams running back situation is just hard to read right now.
Yeah.
I'm not, you know, it's just muddled, all this crap with Akers. I don't know what's going on. I'm going CeeDee Lamb on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, same. I don't think you give it. I mean, you can't bench him.
No, and Cooper Rush, like, you know,
I
don't know about the Jerry Jones saying we could have a quarterback controversy if he keeps winning. I think that's a little bit of a stretch. But I'm willing to say Cooper Rush, not that bad. Big comeback win at Minnesota on Sunday Night Football last year. Looked like the team plays hard for him. And I kind of like the way Kellen Moore was calling the game for him too. And I've had some questions about his play calling with that. So,
yeah. All right, we'll take one more. Cougs 12, Fournette, Swift, Cordell Patterson, Gibson, PPR pick 2. He's got Amon St. Brown in the flex. That's a nice flex by you. Good job, fellas. Who do you like in this, Mintzy?
Yeah, I know Swift's been splitting a little more time than we thought with Jamal Williams, but I can't bench him in that game. Yeah. I'm telling you, I think Lions-Vikings is like your sleeper fantasy gold mine game of the day. I know Minnesota's played 2 or lower scoring games before, but just the way these Detroit games have been getting, I think I feel like you got to start almost anybody in that. I think I'm going with Fournette here because they got to use – I mean, they got to run, right? I mean, I know Patterson's a pretty good option too, but Tampa's got to grind this out. They don't have any receivers out there.
Yeah, I think that would be my pick too. And Todd Bowles did say in a press conference this week they're going to try and get other running backs a little bit more involved. But he said when Lenny gets a hot hand, like you have to feed Lenny. He's got 49 touches the first 2 games, so I think you have to ride with your horses. Fournette and Swift, those are probably the 2 guys that have the best chance of scoring as well. Even though Packers-Bucks is supposed to be lower scoring, Lenny is a red zone guy, especially with Mike Evans out. So I like those 2. We have to end this. We have to end around this time every week, just moving forward, just because we have to get this uploaded and up on the blog by 12:15. So appreciate everyone for tuning in. This was Dear Mr. Fantasy Week 3. Thank you to Mintzy for getting here after his shoot, and shout out to Nick in the background, looking handsome as always. Have a good week, everyone, and best of luck.
All right.